You know, we've been all weekend knowing that love is the answer. Coming together as brothers and sisters, new friends and old friends, to remember that simple, basic truth. So many times in our religious belief systems, don't we overcomplicate it? And when you boil it down to its root, its foundation, love, love, love is the answer. For those who love, who find the power of love, I went to the Hebrew Scriptures, the Torah, to find a premise for the talk today, the message. It's a short message because I'm going to have a panel up here. But before I invite my new friends up to the platform, I wanted to give a foundation for a beautiful house that's been built this weekend. This is the scripture that I chose for that foundation. I invite you to say it with me. And your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt, and you shall raise up the foundations of many generations, and you shall be called repairer of the breach. I don't know about you, but this week, this year, for quite some time, I have found myself humanly going to a place of what I would say would be depression for the state of our world and the state of our humanity, the state of our country. This week, I will just say that I felt broken, looking at the state of what was happening on a very public arena that never should have been that public. We should have done our due diligence to find love first and act from a place of love and not partisanship. And there's a great gap. Isn't there a great gap that exists? Certainly it's easy to see politically. We run to our polar positions. Over here, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. And we forget that we are creating a beautiful gap that is tearing down the very fabric of our common humanity. Our running of polar positions religiously, that says, I have the answer, you don't have the answer, is tearing apart the very fabric of our common existence as brothers and sisters in the light of God. Yet we will be, if we find each other, the light of the world that says, I will be the repairer of the breach. And if I can hold fast and diligent to a truth that is calling for expression within me, and that truth is as simple as love is the answer. We may not agree, but love will be the answer. Love will be the bridge. And when I can be that energy and be that light, I will raise up foundations of many generations. And I believe it is possible because we are not contained in time or space. That by being the living example of love, we are reaching into the future to create a better world for our children and our grandchildren. But we are also the healers of our past. Let's make no mistake about it. We don't dance around the fact that our history is dotted with a lot of chasm making, a lot of gap making, a lot of duality and division. And we stand as believers in a new possibility, a greater love and a greater healing as a bridge between the future and the past. And there is nothing easy about that, is there? It is hard work, and guess what? Your arms can get awfully tired standing here. But my arms are much less tired when I can reach and join hands with a Baha'i friend, a Christian friend, a Muslim friend, a Jewish, a Hindu, a Buddhist friend, and we are leaning on each other as a bridge of understanding, as a bridge of possibility. If you feel it, I want to hear it. We are called as students and practitioners of oneness to live in that arena as that bridge more than ever in the history of the United States and more in the history of our humanity. And we sit here today as people who said something is important and it's happening in me, through me, around me, and as me. And it is not contained within the construct of one religion or another. It is not contained within the construct of one political party or another. It is contained only in the expansive container of love itself. And when we can do that, we will be the repairers of the breach. We will be the ones that will be the healing that we seek. I wanted to share a little bit about one of my favorite places on the planet, and it's one of my favorite places at Unity Village. Unity Village is in Lee Summit, Missouri. It is the headquarters of the Unity movement. And that many of you have seen, let's put the picture up there. This is my favorite place on the grounds of Unity Village. There are beautiful fountains. Water, I'm a water junkie. I love water. It is cleansing. It is purifying. It is uplifting. And in the middle of the fountains in Unity Village is what we call the Bridge of Faith. That is the Bridge of Faith. And that bridge was built with one sole purpose, to be the repairer of breaches between religions. To stand as a movement, to stand as a people that says this gap is unacceptable. We belong to each other. We are one in mind and heart and spirit and in truth. And so any bridge or any gap that existed between us, any chasm that exists between us, Unity says we will build a bridge. And this bridge was built in 1951. A time of great turmoil, much like we are in today. A time of great divide between races and prejudice and hate and anger. And Unity says, I will be the bridge. I will be the bridge. And they built this. And it stood for many, many years. The employees of Unity Village were thrilled just because they could walk from one side of the campus to the other without going 100 yards around a fountain. But as the human world and the human mind works, that bridge fell into great disrepair. It was a bit neglected. Not as a symbol of the neglecting of the bridge and the fountains, but a symbol of neglecting of the common purpose, the why of our being, the why they were there. And there began to be a divide in the Unity movement. There was duality in the Unity movement, two factions. One that said they were right and they're wrong. The other that said, no, we're right and they're wrong. And what happened is this great symbol of possibility fell into disrepair, and the fountain went right with it. My first visit to Unity Village was in 2005, when the rededication of this bridge, as you see it in that picture, and these fountains for the first time. I am so honored. After years and years and years of those fountains being shut down, that the water began to flow again. And I was asked, honored, to be the musician, to sit on that bridge. They put a keyboard on that bridge and said, you're the musician for this. They brought me in from California. And what we did for a week before that bridge was dedicated is the two warring factions came together to remember, to build a bridge emotionally, spiritually, so that the physical bridge could then be dedicated and stand strong throughout time. The healing that happened, the humility, the vulnerability, the compassion, the understanding that happened in that healing Congress was profound, but not nearly as profound as what happened when that bridge was dedicated and the waters came to life again. This week, we have been building a bridge here with our Baha'i brothers and sisters. We have found each other, and we will never let go as we stand as the temple of love in the midst of a world that needs us now more than ever. And I want to dedicate the song. I was asked to sing a particular song, It Is Old as the Hills, for that particular event. And I would like to sing that song to you today. And I would like to dedicate it to my Baha'i brothers and sisters for the work that you are doing, for the bridge building that is happening. And as I prepared to sing this song for you, I was reminded as a child, I love water. And as a child, I would find a creek. I would find a stream. And the first thing I would do is, how can I build a bridge from one side to the other? The little boy in me, still to this day, I get near a creek and I start to gather stones. I start to gather mud and pebbles, and sometimes they're bigger than I can carry. And I begin to build a bridge from one side to the other so that I may traverse and cross that stream without falling into the water. And I thought, what a beautiful metaphor. That's what we do in Unity. That's what you do in Baha'i. You're building a bridge to get from one side to the other. Let us not focus on where we are today politically, religiously, but let's focus on where we are going and grab a stone and begin to build a bridge. And the most beautiful thing as a child, I very, very rarely completed that bridge by myself. Anybody who's ever gone camping where there's a creek, what happens is one child starts to grab a stone and starts to build a structure. Every single time, another child will come up and say, can I help? Can I play? Sure. And in those moments, there's no child asking, are you a Baha'i? Are you a Buddhist? Are you a Christian? No, they say, let's build this together. And what's beautiful is sometimes it's somebody clear on the other side of the stream that waves at you and says, I'm going to start over here. And they start to gather stones on the other side, and let's meet in the middle. What's happened here this week is a meeting in the middle, and a bridge has been built. Scripture says that a little child will lead them. And the most beautiful thing, several moments happened on this building of a stream, across the bridge in the stream, was the adults would see the kids doing it. And then pretty soon my father was up to his knees in the water helping build the bridge. My mother was a little more reluctant, but she was in the water as well. And then parents from every child that was in the water began to build a bridge. That's exactly what we do. Sometimes we think in this world, I can't possibly make a difference. I am one person. I can vibrate at love, but it feels so insignificant. I'm not a millionaire. I don't have all the money. I don't have all the friends. I don't have a community. I'm saying if you vibrate at the center, the radiating center of love itself, somebody's going to join you and say, put your arm around my shoulder and let me be a bridge with you. Somebody's going to come up with a boulder twice the size of what you can carry yourself and say, let's carry this together and let's build this together. And let's make no mistake about it, the gap that we have to traverse as a humanity seems overwhelming. I went to bed, I guess it was Thursday night, going, am I possibly making a difference here? And I wanted to give up, and I wanted to quit because the stream seemed so immense. Which makes it even more important that I come together this weekend. And I joined my Bahai, my Unity brothers and sisters, and they all brought a stone. And together we are more. Together we will get there. This is the song that I dedicate to all the bridge builders, all the children who are entering the kingdom of heaven. Let the little children lead us. Picture a stream in your mind and allow this song to be a sacred vow that you make to the bridge building that is necessary now more than ever. This is called One God. Millions of stars placed in the sky by one God. Millions on earth lift up their eyes to one God. So many children calling to God by many a different name. One Spirit, loving each the same. Many the ways all of us pray to one God. Many the paths winding their way to one God. Sisters and brothers, there were no strangers after God's work was done. For your God and my God are one. One Spirit, loving each the same. Many the ways all of us pray to one God. Many the paths winding their way to one God. Sisters and brothers, there were no strangers after God's work was done. For your God and my God are one God. Yes, children, and my God are one. Millions of stars, millions on earth, one. Thank you. I would like to bring up bridge builders who I have had the honor of meeting over this weekend, sharing planning sessions over the last several months to the event that happened here all weekend. Some of the most beautiful people that I have ever met on the planet. They are bridge builders, and they are standing on the other side of the river saying, we'll meet in the middle. I've got this. I would like to interview them. We're going to have a bit of an interview here to get a little bit of the similarities between Unity and Baha'i and how we are facing the same directions. So I would like to invite my friends Harold and Joel and Tarek. Please welcome them. So one of the basic tenets of the Baha'i faith is that exactly what the song just said. That's why I chose it. One God, oneness of religions, that we're all facing the same direction, whether we admit it or not, whether we believe it or not, whether we are willing to just live in that energy. There is only one power, one presence, one goodness, one light, one love throughout all creation. And I would love any one of my colleagues here, my friends, to speak about the idea of one God from the Baha'i perspective. They're going to be shy.
No. Thank you, friends, for allowing us to be among you. And I love the idea of being the bridge builder. My answer to your question from the Baha'i perspective is the song you sang. That is the answer. There is only one God, unknowable essence, creator of all humanity and all that is on earth, who created all of us out of great love for us. We will never know him the same way as a table made by a carpenter will never be able to understand the mind of the carpenter. We are finite and God is infinite.
There's a Baha'i quote that I think kind of sums up the entire weekend, the entire presentation. It says, "There can be no doubt whatever that the peoples of the world of whatever race or religion derive their inspiration from the same heavenly source and are the subjects of one God." And I teach comparative religion classes, and what I try to show people is that the world's religions, namely Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrian, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Baha'i, all teach essentially the exact same things. And that from a Baha'i perspective, they're not separate and distinct. They're all interrelated, they're all interconnected, they're all part of the same process. And that's why we don't have any problems joining hands in friendship with the people of the Unity Church. So I think I'll end my comments with another Baha'i quote.
Hold the mic close.
Another Baha'i quote that diversity in the human family should be the cause of love and harmony, as it is in music, where many different notes blend together into the making of a perfect chord. We don't have to all be the same, but we are united. And I celebrate this weekend. Thank you.
Harold, can I say something?
One thing, friends, God is too big to understand. You cannot understand somebody that can invent billions and billions of planets throughout this universe. He's outside of the universe. And the only way we know about God is because someone told us there's a God. And that has come from his messengers. Whether it was Moses, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Baha'u'llah, Abraham, we know about God because someone said there's a God and has told us how to worship him. God is too big to understand. And he wants us to understand him through his messengers only. He doesn't speak to us directly, we don't think. But his messengers speak for him to us through his words. Moses, the Ten Commandments. Jesus, love one another as I have loved you also. Pray for those who misuse you. Turn the other cheek. Feed the hungry. Heal the sick. That's how God speaks to us, through his messengers. So God is beyond anything we could ever understand. The closest we can get is through Jesus, who said, it is not my work, but it is the works of the Father who sent me to you to do his works.
One of the most beautiful things that came up in our discussion over the weekend, the Baha'i writings have the male pronouns, as does Charles Fillmore in his writings, for the essence of God. And it was so beautiful to me to say that, to remember the truth, that in the Persian language, in the translation, it became male dominant when it came to this culture, when it came to be translated into English. Can any of you speak about, just briefly, about the word that is not male or female, the unknowable, as you've said? It is beyond any human construct of male and female. Anybody care to comment?
Yeah, the language in Farsi, which is the language that Baha'u'llah wrote, and Arabic, there is no he or she. You are referred to as u, which implies he or she, because the soul does not have gender. The soul does not have color. The spirit cannot be identified with form and shape. It is infinite, it's manifestation of beauty, but it's not to be described with one thing. For example, when you think of white light, it is combination of many colors. But when all those colors merge together, we will have this great white light of heaven. So,
well, tell me the word again. The word is? So how would it be if we were to greet each other as brothers and sisters facing the same direction in the light, rather than recognizing you as a man or a woman, to just go, ooh, ooh, ooh. Joel, did you want to say something?
There are many Baha'i principles. The two major ones that we focus on the most are the elimination of racism and the promotion of the oneness of humanity. And in the Baha'i writings, it clearly says that men and women are equal. There's no distinction. So the Baha'i quote is, women and men have been and will always be equal in the sight of God. And another quote says, when all mankind shall receive the same opportunity of education and the equality of men and women be realized, the foundations of war will be utterly destroyed.
We spoke very much in depth yesterday, and I was profoundly moved by the discourse of the divine feminine needing to rise to power right now. That for too long, and I actually stood before my brothers and sisters and apologized on behalf of all men who have subjugated that feminine energy, not only on the planet, but within their own self. And it was fun to dialogue about the rising and the coming of feminine power that is in our culture right now. It is needed. It is good. It is holy. And I, as a male, welcome it in myself and on the planet.
I think, can I share? You know, there is a passage from Baha'u'llah that I always enjoy tremendously. And he said, humanity is like a bird which has two wings. One is male, one is female. Unless both wings are strong enough, the bird of humanity cannot soar to its highest destiny. So it is not just the responsibility of women to develop themselves or men, but these two wings are complementary, and each has to strive to balance the power of each so that the bird of humanity can soar.
I think the challenge that we have as human beings is if we believe that this God created this planet and all of us in it, male and female, God had a purpose for that. So the question should be, what is the purpose God created male and female? And it was never to be one over the other, to be the balance, the wings of each other. Baha'u'llah said in the next world of God, there is no male and female. We're spirits anyway. The physical body is particularly here to develop the spirit, so when the body dies, the soul goes on to the next world of God, and there is no gender. Gender is for a purpose here, to create, to procreate, to build this bridge of love and unity of harmony. So as we pass through this plane of existence, we are prepared for the next level. The next level is the spirit that goes forth, the soul that goes forth, and the body stays here. So the question again is, why did God create male and female? Not that there's a problem. God didn't create the problem. We created the problem by making these distinctions and differences. But we're together to be one with each other. That's the purpose.
So one of the things that we talk about in our final time of moments together is we ended our time last night with the understanding that Baha'ism is a blueprint for peace on earth. Mm-hmm. We as bridge builders standing on either side, either shore, maybe on the same shore, wanting to meet in the middle, the eventual goal is peace on earth. We sing here in Unity many, many Sundays, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I would love for you all to comment in your final moments here about the Baha'i plan for peace on earth. The blueprint. In 30 seconds or less.
From my 10-second, Baha'is across the globe, in 100,000 localities today in the world, there are small Baha'i communities committed to the building of peace as unity people are in this space. What I heard in last 2 days, and I marked my sheet of unity principles, everything I underlined saying I agree 100% with everything I heard. But it's hopeful to know that Baha'is in 100,000 localities in the world today, in Japan, in Papua New Guinea, in Nepal, in Amazon, they are getting together, collecting rocks, collecting sands, engage in process of bridge building for all of humanity. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is loved.
In the good book it said, in that day, they will beat their plowshares into pruning hooks and study war no more. No more. That day is not here yet. In the Baha'i writings it says, no power can exist except through unity, which is what we're doing today, bringing the differences together and forming a unity. No welfare and no well-being can be attained except through consultation. The future and salvation of this planet will be when we come together with our differences and learn how to consult with each other. That'll be the salvation of humanity. That's it.
In the Baha'i writings, it says that change, spiritual transformation, is conditioned upon 3 things: knowledge, volition, and action. We have to know what we want to do, we have to have the will to do it, and then we have to do it. So hopefully we can proceed this weekend from here and continue to build bridges. So.
One of the things that emerged from our time together, and Julie Boniger has been driving this, and it's going to happen, is if talk is cheap. We've said that a number of times over the weekend. And there is a commitment that these 2 communities of people that have come together are going to do a service project to take the love outside of our walls, outside of what's going on here. This is unity principle number 5. Get your body busy. Can I get you guys to stand?
Yes.
These fine people, and this is only the tip of the iceberg of the wealth here and the love that is here. I'm going to ask you to put your arms around each other's shoulders, and let me go into our meditation. April, please come forward. And your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt, and you shall raise up the foundations of many generations, and you shall be called repairers of the breach. I invite you to, during this meditation, if you are so led, let it be a meditation experience together. Somebody you don't know, maybe next to you, reach out and hold their hand for a moment and give a squeeze and says, I've got my stone. Do you have yours? I'll meet you in the middle. Let's take these ideas into a time of stillness, of quiet, and meditation.